Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jake, alongside my brother, Zach.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And we're going to give you a Week 3 recap of studs and duds and give you key pickups for next week going into Week 4 to win your matchup. So let's jump into it with surprises of the week.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
So my two surprises, Devontae Smith finally doing what you drafted him for, 26.9 fantasy points, 169 yards, one touchdown on 12 targets. Not much else to say. I think he showed a little bit of it last week, but he's like the 1B wide receiver. It's not really A and B, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or 1 and 2. He's just as good.
Yeah.
And my second surprise, Jamal Williams, 23.7 fantasy points, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns, 20 carries, 2 receptions, and 20 yards. He filled in. He filled in with DeAndre Swift getting hurt, and did so valiantly, and took over the game. I'm excited to get him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good
Zach,
call on that last week. Yeah, I got a couple of surprises here. So started off with Khalil Herbert, 29.9 fantasy points, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. He came in after David Montgomery got hurt. Looks like a season ender, but we haven't really heard too much on that right now.
Oh,
but Khalil Herbert did great. He's I've been screaming it from the mountaintops for a while that he's a really good backup running back. I view him as one of the best backup running backs in the game, besides maybe like Kareem Hunt or something.
Jamal Williams.
Herbert's great. Like he can, the offense doesn't lose too much when, if he's able to start versus Montgomery. He's just not, the only thing is he's not as good of a pass catcher as Montgomery, but I mean, I think he might be a better overall runner than Montgomery, but Montgomery is more versatile.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's why they're a nice tandem. But yeah, Herbert did great. Definitely surprising. 30 fantasy points. It's fucking awesome. If anybody started him in a really deep league, it's a hell of a performance. And then Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah. Fabio.
Yep, there he is. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence had 25.18 fantasy points. He was 28 for 39, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Chargers defense.
Nobody was streaming that. I mean,
who in Jake, Kyle, and my top 10 positional rankings, we had the Chargers defense, all of us in the top 10. So that was surprising performance from Trevor Lawrence for sure. He's looking like a quarterback that needs to be like picked up, scooped up, right, Jake?
Yeah, I think we'll hit on him more in here in the grabs.
Yeah, and then I just had to make a note of the Philly defense stonewalling the Commanders, who've been a pretty good offense the first 2 weeks. 17 fantasy points, 1 fumble recovery, 9 sacks. Philly Dilly. Philly is definitely a team to beat right now in the wide open NFC.
Yeah, man, they look like I'm not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they're definitely a playoff contender.
Jalen Hurts is balling right now, dude.
Yeah, he is. All right, man, let's break into major fantasy relevant injuries. My leg! So actually a lot of fantasy relevant injuries happened this week, so we'll go through it as quick as possible. David Montgomery, like Zach said when talking about Khalil Herbert, knee, ankle. He's actually listed as day-to-day. I thought the injury looked a lot worse than day-to-day, but Eberflus said the Bears saw it as good news after initial testing, but I still feel like he's going to miss a couple weeks.
He must have had his guardian angel in his like little satchel or something that they like his little pouch. Because man, if he avoided a serious injury, he better thank his lucky stars. Because
look bad.
I've seen guys like have an injury that like have that thing happen and break their leg. You know, when they get rolled up on by a 300-pound lineman.
Yeah, dude.
That's scary shit. I couldn't hardly watch the replays of that. I get so squeamish with that stuff.
For sure. And next up, DeAndre Swift, shoulder and ankle. And the coach said he could possibly benefit by taking the next 2 weeks off and returning after the week 6 bye. So the coach saying that on Monday, I mean, that makes you just want Jamal Williams that much more. I mean,
yeah.
And then third, Dalvin Cook, shoulder. So his shoulder popped in and out, and the coach of the Vikings has said it's happened before, and he's considered day-to-day. So, man, he could still play next week. I just feel like they would rest him at least 1 week, don't you? I mean,
so he was like put together like one of those like Lego toys.
I think he's had it happen. It's just like his shoulder pops out easily, and then it also goes back in easily.
Yeah, it was a shitty joke, so you know.
Keenan Allen, hamstring, didn't play on Sunday, but is expected to practice and play next week. So, you know, the old wideout on the Chargers, but can't really drop him or anything. You just keep streaming their third tier wideout. And then Jalen Waddle, groin, non-participant in Monday's practice, so got to monitor that one. That's their, 1B wideout on Miami. Michael Thomas, toe, will undergo further testing on Monday, but believed to have avoided serious injury. So I don't know. I don't know how you feel, Zach, but I feel like this is going to be another thing that Michael Thomas is going to milk and like sit out multiple weeks because he doesn't care about anything.
I would like to say hopefully not, because I'm a big Michael Thomas fan. But yeah, I mean, who knows at this point?
Yeah. And then next up, the Bills Pro Bowl safeties missed this week. Mekhi Hyde is on IR with a neck injury, pretty serious, and Jordan Poyer is questionable for week 4 with a foot injury. So, these guys help make the Bills defense the best fantasy defense in the league, and now this could definitely drop them down a bit. I'd still say they're in the top 5, but losing 2 Pro Bowlers is no joke. So,
yeah, I mean, it's not the most serious injury of all the injuries to note, because you get a whole team defense in fantasy football, but I just figured it was worth noting because it's 2 Pro Bowl safeties,
For sure. And lastly here, we always like to do one oopsie whoopsie, and Jimmy G stepped out of bounds to lose the game for the 49ers.
Oopsie whoopsie! Ooh, we made a fucky wucky!
Oh no. I mean, can you believe that?
Yeah, that's definitely the oopsie whoopsie moment of the week for sure on the Garden of Sports.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, it just is. He just lost track of where he was, in the end zone. He thought he had a couple more yards. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to say it happens to the best of us, but I don't. It's not very often that a quarterback is playing from the 1 yard line. So,
I mean, they don't usually step out of the back of the end zone, but
true.
Lose the game, but all right. All right, let's break into top grabs. So, based off of injuries, it's kind of exciting for fantasy. Not that you want injuries to happen, but running back is a really hard position to fill, and now there's a plethora of guys to grab based on what's happened. So, Khalil Herbert, first off the board, 28.9 fantasy points, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, 20 carries, 2 receptions for 12 yards, and it's a run-heavy offense. That's why I have him at the top of the running back list here.
Ooh, yeah!
Yeah, he's always had the talent. He's just been behind, a top running back, so he's had to wait for an injury to happen like this for him to be fantasy relevant. And yeah, he could take off again next week. Next up, Jamal Williams, 23.7 fantasy points, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns, 20 carries, 2 receptions, 20 yards.
Can I get a
oh my god. I'm just as excited for him as Herbert. but like I said, Herbert's more in the run-heavy offense, but Jamal just has, peak athleticism, and with the DeAndre Swift news, he might get more starter weeks than Khalil Herbert does, so he's pretty close for me, but yeah, I really want this guy. I actually pulled off a trade to get him before this week even happened, so
Wow.
he was just like a secondary piece to Tua,
Yeah.
but now I get like a starter level running back for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty even on both of them. I view them as definitely the top two ads for this week. For sure. Herbert and Williams, those are the two guys. If you can get one of the two, that's a great get.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Alexander Madison, 10.9 fantasy points, 28 yards, 1 touchdown on 7 carries, 1 reception for 16 yards. He's the backup for Dalvin Cook, and Cook could miss some time.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I always say Alexander Madison's the last 3 years has been a draftable player because he usually gets a few weeks every year because Cook always misses a couple of weeks a year with something. So Madison gets you some starts. So he's usually a good last pick.
Yeah, I always try to grab him too. And then I hold him if I can, but if I need to grab like a starter level guy.
He's a hold if you have a fully healthy team always.
Yeah. And then Matt Collins, 21.96 fantasy points, 158 yards, 1 touchdown on 8 receptions. Is this guy for real, Zach?
Yeah, I was going to mention him in my surprises, but there was just so many surprises. I just figured we'd be talking about him later.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to talk about this guy since last week, but I wanted to see, I wanted to give him a couple weeks to see if it was for real or not. And he seems to have some chemistry going with Carr. So I don't know. Why not pick him up and drop him later if you have to?
Yeah,
I'm buying it for now.
It's been a great grab.
Been a couple weeks of good numbers. Yeah.
Second best wide receiver on the team, then yeah.
Yeah. And if I like him too, even more. I think that it could be even more sustainable because he is the number 2 or 3, because you got to respect the slot receiver too, Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
But Devontae Adams draws the best coverage. That leaves it open for Hollins. On usually most teams' worst, cornerback. So yeah, I buy it even more just because he's not going to be getting the best coverage.
Yeah, definitely the top wideout off the board. And I think he's going to be in two high scoring weeks in a row here. I mean, they have a chip on their shoulder with being 0-3. Everybody talking crap. They got Denver and Kansas City next. So yeah, best wide receiver off the board. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's no doubt for sure, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor fucking Lawrence.
My gosh. 25.18 fantasy points, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns. Is he the last decent QB left, Zach, in a competitive league?
Well, in our leagues, yes, because we have been drafting or adding the quarterbacks that we've been talking about. But so if you've been listening to us, the last couple of weeks talk about our quarterbacks to grab, then yeah, he would be the best one left right now. But if you're in a league that still has Carson Wentz out there, still has Jared Goff out there, still has Jimmy Garoppolo out there. Yeah, I think that.
Jimmy Garoppolo did bad, Goff did bad, and Wentz is a higher owned one now, up to 69%.
Yeah, but I'm just saying those are options too, because I think Lawrence isn't going to be doing 25 every week. But
man,
he's gonna have a bad week, just like Garoppolo, or just like Goff had a bad week with 14 points. I think Goff is fine, but yeah. Lawrence is definitely one of the top ones.
Yeah, but Lawrence got the upside because he's still a young guy.
Yeah,
Goff, you know what Goff is.
He's going to shoot up the ownage percentage this week for sure.
All right, and then we always like to cover one tight end in the grabs, and David Njoku.
And it's my tight end. Oh, sorry.
You have him?
No, I'm just saying, I have a nice tight end.
Oh my god. David Njoku, 19.4 fantasy points, 89 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 receptions on 10 targets. Next week is Atlanta, so great option to stream a tight end if you need it.
Yes. And he has the tightest of ends.
Oh my gosh, Zach loves checking that out. Romeo Doubs. So Zach, I feel like this guy's becoming Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. He's got 17.3 fantasy points, 73 yards, 1 touchdown, 8 for 8 receptions and targets. I mean, and so far, a lot of the other guys have been dropping balls. So is this guy's job now? Is he going to take it?
I like Romeo Doubs. I think I think so. And Aaron Rodgers has been raving about him since the preseason, since training camp. So, I think Aaron Rodgers wanted to get Romeo Doubs more involved. And I think eventually Christian Watson's going to get more involved too. But right now, Doubs is out there. So,
yeah, Watson's out right now.
Yeah, Doubs is.
He just missed week 3, but yeah,
Doubs is building their rapport, and I think we're seeing
Sammy Watkins on the IR. Cobb is old. Lazard drops the ball.
I wish someone loves me like the IR loves Sammy Watkins, man.
My gosh. Yeah, so definitely the number 2 off the board, unless you don't believe in Mac Hollins, then he's the number 1.
I would go Hollins over Doubs, but Doubs is up there too.
No, well, I mean, like, people listening. So,
yeah.
All right, so the Eagles defense, I think they're for real. They had 1 fumble recovery, 9 sacks, 6 points against in week 3. They had a great week 2 as well. Week 1 was just a shootout, but is this team for real, Zach?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, keep playing them until, they did good against an offense that they could have done bad against. The Commanders have been looking pretty good so far this year. I think the Eagles just whole team is for real. So I'm a buyer on the Eagles defense.
All right, for sure. All right, that closes out grabs. Let's go into buy lows. Great target. All right, so George Kittle, I wanted to talk about him with you if you think you would have to give up too much or not, but first week back from injury was a bust. 28 yards on 4 receptions. Would you buy low on him, Zach?
Yeah. Yes, I would.
How much would you give up for a tight end?
I would try and do a 1-for-1. I would try and give up Kyle Pitts for him.
Oh, something like that. Okay. I don't know if Pitts will work, but you could try it. Did Pitts have a good week?
He did. He finally had a good week. He had like 12, 13 fantasy points.
Okay, nice. Yeah, try that one. Just see what the team needs. Buy low. Get yourself some Kittle. Kittle and bits. Allen Robinson, somebody we were high on coming into the year. 23 yards on 2 receptions. Oh my god. Yeah, I know a lot of other fantasy experts were kind of dodging this guy in the draft. We liked him a lot. I don't know. Do you think this is who he is, or is he going to pick it back up to star level?
Man, I don't know.
Oh, no.
It's disappointing.
Last year, he's going to get it together, right?
I thought that he would go into a new team would be good for him, but maybe he just is starting to get over the hill. I don't know what it is, but it's strange, man. I feel like he should be doing way better. He's got the talent.
It's a new QB, and he's been targeted in the red zone, so they're trying to get him involved.
Yeah.
I mean, right now is the lowest value he's going to be. So
I just feel like he's been on our buy low list for like 25 weeks now,
No, not this year. Not until this week. But yeah, he was last year a lot. He just never... Well, we thought Fields would improve too, and he never did. That was the problem. I don't know if it was Robinson last year. This year, he's connecting with a new QB. But you got to think on the high-octane offense like that, he'll get involved more.
I feel like he has to.
Yeah, so buy low, you could probably get him for really cheap. Like, he has done nothing. So
yeah.
And then our third buy low and last one, J.K. Dobbins, 23 yards, 7 carries, 2 receptions. This is coming off of major injury where he tore like everything in his knee, basically. So
that's
won't give it the fart noise, but would you buy low? Starter running back.
Yeah, I would. I'd be interested. I wouldn't give up too much to get him, obviously. But I
Yeah,
would.
with the
I would
risk.
try. Yeah, I think that's a good move you could make.
For sure, yeah. See what the team needs.
Yeah.
Don't give up too much. Just if you're desperate for a running back, I think it's a great move because he has proven in the past that he can be a beast.
Yes.
So yeah, if you can't get any of the grabs either that we talked about. All right, and then let's break into sell highs. Amari
All right.
Cooper.
Oh, okay.
You take it. You take it.
Yeah, Amari Cooper. 7 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. A tutty. Would you sell high on Amari Cooper, Jake?
Yes, and I already did.
Bruh.
You wouldn't sell high?
No, I think you made a good trade there.
Yeah, so
because
for the listeners, I traded. Yeah. I have really stacked wideout lineup on this team that we're talking about in our family league, and I had no backup running back, just the 2 starters, and I lost Trey Lance, and I've been playing Aaron Rodgers, who has been trash. So I traded Amari Cooper, sold him high, and I got Tua and Jamal Williams in the trade. And that was before Jamal Williams kind of breakout little game there. But yeah, I just needed more insurance at QB, and I needed a backup running back for the bye week. So it really worked out for me.
Yeah.
So, but like if I was in a better QB situation, I would be try to trade him for a running back, which is most people are weaker at, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because most likely he was your 4th wideout off the board, maybe your 3rd, but you got Cooper kind of late, mid to late rounds, and he's really paid off, and I don't think that's a guarantee every week. So big fan of selling high here. What would you go for, Zach?
I think I would do the same thing if I had Amari Cooper. I would see what I could get for him, see if I could get like a lower level, flex running back or something, and maybe another bench receiver. Just see what I could get for him. If he's not, if it's not like a deep league where he might be like one of my starting receivers, I would think about it.
For sure. Would you, if you didn't have a good tight end, would you trade him 1-for-1 to Kittle?
I would probably try and do something like that too. Yeah, trade him to get Kittle. Yeah. I think I would definitely do that if I needed a tight end.
All right, for sure.
Way better than having a loose end.
Oh my god. Yeah, test the waters, people.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. Devin Singletary. Jakey had a great week. 9 carries, 13 yards, 9 receptions, 78 yards and a tutty. Yeah, I mean, Devin Singletary, just, kind of average so far this year. Yeah. Better than I thought he would be. I'm kind of surprised with him, but I still think he's a sell high because I think they're going to start. They want to get that James Cook, I think, more involved at some point. But what do you think, Jake? Would you sell high on Devin Singletary?
I'm definitely selling high. You drafted him late to fill in our running back because he was a starter, right? You probably were like desperate with people taking running backs. Mm-hmm. If you own this guy and you're like, shit, I need to grab a running back, and you grab Singletary. Nobody's excited about Singletary. You were waiting. I think with him, you're always waiting to sell high with a big week.
Yeah. And if you actually start him and he puts up a performance like that, though, you're always pleasantly surprised with him.
Yeah, but you usually can't trust him. Like, I didn't play him in the league. I have him, so I'm going to try to sell, but we'll see.
Yeah.
See what you can get.
He's
honestly,
the most
him for Dobbins, I would do.
He's just too inconsistent of a guy historically.
Mm-hmm.
So when he does a couple good weeks in a row, that's usually when you want to try and get a trade done with him.
Yeah.
Because he'll just go 0 dark 30 on you for weeks. And then he'll just come out of the woodwork and people will be adding him from free agency again, like, by week 10.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be talking about him in week 10, 11, or 12, Jake, as an ad.
No, I wouldn't say that because he's a starter, but yeah. You're not excited. Nothing exciting about him.
Yeah.
Would you do that Dobbins one, I said?
Yeah, I would do that for sure in a heartbeat.
I think I'm gonna offer that, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then lastly here to wrap up Sell Highs, Jake, Dameon Pierce, the rookie running back on the Houston Texans, 20 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown in the good old-fashioned football game against the Bears on Sunday. Just the good old-fashioned football game, run it up and down the field, get it in the end zone.
Yeah,
there.
It was a running game, wasn't it?
Dude, it really was. I felt like I was transported. I felt like it was a walk back through time, dude. I felt like I was watching like a 1945 game. And there you go. There's Dameon Pierce up the middle. You know, like
it's definitely slower. I left in the second quarter to get lunch with some friends and got back, and it was the third quarter.
Yeah.
Like it took forever, but yeah,
which one of Fields' like 12 pass attempts was your favorite?
The 2 interceptions were great. The guy's got vision.
I digress.
Yeah, it sucks.
But Dameon Pierce though had himself a day. You know, fine young day for the rookie. Scored his first touchdown. 20 carries for 80 yards. I mean, 4 on the dot yards per rush. You know, you love to see it. I think this is something maybe people are liking it because he's young, rookie. I'm just not a big believer in the Texans team. I think you might be able to use him as a piece. If he's like your flex, like third running back or something, you can maybe use him to get something else that you might need.
Yeah, I think people aren't going to just buy into that name yet, and at least he's a starter. So yeah, like you said, I would throw him in a 2-for-1.
Okay.
Try to get Dobbins or Kittle, but nobody's going to take him 1-for-1, I don't think, unless you're going for like some upside play who hasn't done anything yet guy. I don't know. I just don't feel like many people are going to do 1-for-1 with Dameon Pierce, you know?
Why do you say it like that, Dan?
Like you said, the team he's on, it's just not trustworthy, and yeah, you get it.
Okay.
All right. That'll wrap it up.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We hope we gave you some good insight for this week, some moves to make, and some trades you could possibly make. And go hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Get notified when a new video drops. And leave a comment. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us how much you agree with everything. And even if you don't, let us know your criticism. We're here for it all. And also, we have social media. Go follow us over there. We got Facebook, facebook.com/Garden of Sports Podcast. We have Instagram, instagram.com/Garden of Sports. And we have Twitter, twitter.com/GOSPod2021. Go give us a follow. You definitely won't regret it. And we'll be back here next week with a fresh new football episode. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.